Okay, going to continue talking about the two sides of the gender war, the women telling women dating advice and the men telling men dating advice, and how they each act like some wise, informed guru, but they never mentioned the actual research going back to the 1950s. They never mentioned the practical details that we've known for decades. They just tell you what you want to hear, and so you keep clicking on them. So this one's going to get a little technical. I understand if you don't want to hear it because it's science, and I don't have some flashy visuals for you. But it's your fault if you don't know it. So there's this thing called Hebbian learning. Hebb with two B's. Hebbian learning was the actual neurological way that was discovered decades ago of how your brain actually forms connections. The synapses in your brain are connecting when two things happen together. Whatever fires together, wires together. That's Hebbian learning. So if you hear a bell and you see a flash of light, there wasn't a reward, there wasn't a punishment. Your brain does not wire based on rewards and punishments. It wires by what happened together. You hear a noise, you see a flash. Later, you hear the same noise and you see the same flash. After just a few times, you expect both of them to happen together. Your brain wires based on those coincidences. That's Hebbian learning. It's in contrast to B.F. Skinner, with two N's. He thought that the human brain wires based on punishments and rewards. And he came to that conclusion by studying pigeons. Hebb was looking at our actual brains. And neurologists, neuroscientists since then look at our actual brains, human brains. So we know that it's by association when two events happen together. That's what wires your brain together without any punishment or reward. You just have a prediction engine in your skull, and it's trying to predict the future. So whenever two events happen together repeatedly, you start to expect them to happen together without any punishment or reward. And your brain will keep making that association if there is a punishment or a reward. So the easy way to understand this is if you had three teenage girls and you sat each of them down in a room, strapped to a chair, to watch reruns of Hannah Montana, which sounds horrible. One of them, you're juicing her up with drugs that make her feel great. So she's feeling euphoric while she's watching Hannah Montana, getting this huge reward-centered dopamine boost. Another girl, she's getting shocked while she's watching Hannah Montana. It does not feel comfortable. This is torture. And the third girl, just have her watch it. No punishments, no rewards. What we find is that when those three girls go home after hours and hours of watching Hannah Montana, the one who is rewarded imitates Hannah Montana. The one who didn't get punishments or rewards imitates Hannah Montana. The one who was being punished while she was watching Hannah Montana, she imitates Hannah Montana. It's called role modeling. So whatever media you show yourself, regardless of punishments or rewards, you will imitate it. And the people who design advertising and media for you to consume, they know that research. So they don't care if you feel punishment or reward as a result of that behavior. They just keep flashing it in your face until you imitate it. And you'll keep imitating it even if you're punished afterwards. So if you were reading 50 Shades of Grey and a lot of really trashy fan fiction and romance novels and you loved The Notebook and watched it over and over again, you will repeat that behavior in your own relationships no matter how many times it destroys your relationships. They did it on purpose. Because they need you to be unhappy to get you to buy stuff. This is how advertising works. They have to trick you into making yourself unhappy. And then they say, this is how you'll be happy. Buy it. That's the whole system of corporate advertising. First, they have to role model behavior that destroys your own life. And then once you're unhappy, they can sell you the thing that they say is going to make you happy. So the entire media infrastructure is designed to keep flashing bad behaviors in your face so that you imitate them, no matter how many times you destroy your life. And that's Hebbian learning. The people who are advertising executives for major corporations, they know this research, and they know that that's what drives sales. They need to get you to behave in the way that ruins your own life, and then they can sell you happiness in a box. So that's why it's important to have discernment. That's why it's important to have restraint in your media diet. What kind of media are you putting into your brain? If you just accept whatever's popular, then you are definitely moving down that conveyor belt into a wood chipper. Because whatever's popular is what they're promoting. It's propaganda. You can be sure if something's popular, it's popular because the media executives want you to imitate it, because it benefits them. This has been going on for decades. So Hebbian learning, let's look at how that applies in a few details. Dating apps. Dating apps are designed to get you to ruin your relationships. Because if you ever formed a lasting, loving relationship, you wouldn't be using the app anymore. The only way they can keep making money off of you from a dating app is if they keep ensuring that you destroy your chance at love. So the way they did that, they're like, how can we get people to ruin their ability to love others? Oh, I know. Let's make them image obsessed, and let's make them fake. Let's get everyone to be image obsessed and fake. So the only thing you're going to see on a dating app is hot photos, a thirst trap, and a little blurb, an elevator pitch, so that you never get to know a real person. You're judging someone based on the most superficial qualities, based on the most workshopped, wordsmithed garbage. And then you're throwing away everyone who doesn't meet your inflated image demands, your beauty standard, who isn't immediately enticing because they're such a good con artist. And here's what's worse, is when you practice swiping left over and over again, discarding a human being from consideration. When you're doing the swipe left over and over again, you are building a pattern of behavior. This is Hebbian learning. The behavior that you are reinforcing in the connections in your brain is to discard people. Ick, done, not interested. Your eyes slowly droop. Nothing excites you enough. They have to be perfect, or else you just push them away. They get you to do that behavior enough that you're never satisfied. It's intentional. That's something that was obvious to me when a friend of mine first mentioned Tinder. This was 13 plus years ago, when Tinder was just getting off the ground. It was becoming popular amongst the youth. My friend told me, you should get on this dating app. And I said, how does it work? Well, you just post photos and a little blurb, and then you swipe right or swipe left. And I said, I know how brains function. I know the science of brain function. They are training you to be fixated on images without getting to know a real person. They are training you to have the most workshopped advertising executive blurb to trick people into liking you. And they're training you to discard other human beings without ever getting to know them, for really superficial reasons. If people use that app, they will be incapable of forming a healthy relationship. That's what I said 13 years ago about Tinder. And now people are beginning to realize that that's what happened. They're only beginning to wake up to the science we've known since the 50s. Hebbian learning. So if you do actually read scientific papers, if you do your own research and understand how reality works, you're not fooled by this stuff. You're not fooled into buying something thinking it'll make you happy. So I'm going to mention some other research that's important for dating and relationships and love. Each person is born neurologically, it's your neurochemistry. You're born with a certain amount of happiness. And that happiness can decline if you're being oppressed or imprisoned or tortured or something horrible happened to you. It'll drop. And after that situation is gone, your happiness comes back to the baseline. You recover. But you never rise above that baseline. It just doesn't happen. If your baseline is down here and you try to have a fabulous vacation, you'll feel happy for that little bit of time. And then afterwards, your happiness crashes out. And you end up lower than you were before. Your total amount of happiness in life did not increase. And if you want to have that same happiness bump the next time, your vacation has to be 3 times more expensive. And then the next one after that's 10 times more expensive than the first vacation. And then 30 times more expensive for the next one. Just to get the same amount of happy bump. You will never be able to increase your happiness beyond the neurochemical limit you were born with. That's just what it is. You can spend 30 minutes a day meditating to get an average of a 5% boost, but it's probably more valuable for your own life and the world if you just stop trying to be so happy. Stop bothering with it. Because happiness, the word comes from hap, which means luck. You're really only supposed to be happy when something surprising happens. It's happenstance. You got lucky one time. Then you're happy. That's what it's supposed to be. A butterfly landed on your forehead. Wow. You're not supposed to obsess over butterflies constantly landing on your forehead. You have real work to do. So when people obsess over maximizing their own happiness, they want to get their whole bucket list, they never become happier, but they do become spoiled. It's too expensive to keep them happy. So no one's going to bother. No one's going to bother making you happy if it costs a lot of money. Because there's 7.5 billion people on this planet who aren't as happy as you. So instead of trying to grasp at happiness, which is a form of satisfaction, you eat a whole pizza, you're full, your hunger is satisfied, but then 12 hours later you're hungry again. Satisfaction is when you grasp at something to put it inside you and you feel full for a little while. Happiness is one of those satisfactions. Instead of trying to get satisfactions, which you constantly have to get more, again, constantly having to satisfy yourself again, seek fulfillment. Excuse me. Which is when you're filled up inside and overflowing, and it just keeps flowing your whole life. Fulfillment is what fills you up continuously. And fulfillment comes from having a purposeful life, not a fun life. If you try to have as much fun as you can your whole life, you will not feel fulfilled. You felt satisfied, and then you weren't. And then you're satisfied, and then you weren't. And satisfied, and then you weren't. And that's all that ever happens. But if you do something that's meaningful, benefits other people, it's an accomplishment, then you feel fulfillment. And the wonderful thing about fulfillment is you stop needing to be satisfied. That itch to be satisfied goes away. And you're not happier. You're just not needy either. Both. So focus on being a good person. Focus on doing something that helps the world. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. You're probably going to fail most of the time. And when you succeed, that accomplishment is going to be fulfilling. And you won't find a desire to be constantly satisfied. Be glad of the kind of choices you made in life instead of trying to get happy by what you consume. That's what Hebbian learning tells us.